there, Kendall Kid remote learners. It's Mr. King again here with a lesson on design. We are going to be designing our own marble games. I know it's something that tech class does to some extent, but we are doing this purely for the idea of making something that is fun. And that is when we're going to balance trying to make something that is somewhere between easy and difficult, but has just that fun element to it. There's a challenge and a goal, but really we're just trying to make it as entertaining as possible. This is one that Quinn has made from one of my 5th grade classes, and I'm really just digging it. It's really well done so far, really unique and different from some of the other ones that we've done. But really all you need for this is to get some sort of container top. So we're using all these styrofoam takeout containers, but if you want to use a box top for like reams of paper, like the W.B. Mason box tops, or even an old box from an Amazon order, or what works just as well is to take a cereal box and literally just cut it right in half, laying it down on its side. So once you do that, and you have a tray in which to encompass your marble, you will need to find some sort of marble or ping pong ball or something like that that will roll, and you will have to start trying to make a track through your container. There used to be a game called Labyrinth that was super popular back in like the late 70s, early 80s, if I remember properly. It might even be as much as kind of like the mid to late 80s. But really, really cool game. You can even see people set world records with it, twiddling the little controls on the side of it online if you Google it. But the idea being you are trying to balance your marble and get it through a track without having it fall off the course. Quinn made a similar model here where you're trying to keep your marble on, and it is challenging. It's pretty easy to overcompensate and have it fall off the edge. And right now he hasn't finished the finish line here. He's telling me about his ideas, but you can get the marble all the way down to the last bit, and then you hit that little bridge here. There's no guardrails on that, so that's the most challenging part. But really not a goal here set yet, so I'm gonna intentionally make the mistake here. Went right off the edge. There goes my marble. Losing my marbles here, kids. So this is the track. The way you end up making it and what you use for it is really simple. Scotch tape to put it together. If you needed to use a different kind of tape, that would be fine, but honestly Scotch tape is the easiest to work with. It cuts really well. You can actually create, if you notice right here, he actually did create a fake little sidewall right there with it. And works really well. So the other part is I think that colored regular printer paper is great, but if you need to use white printer paper, that's okay, but just sometimes white on white, it's difficult to see the contrast. It's a lot more playful with the colors. So if you can get your hands on some colored paper, some construction paper, that'll work fine. But the big thing I want to point out to you guys is that for this, 2 things. We're going to be using the design cycle to build, and we are also going to be using a technique, which is really simple, basic paper folding. So what we usually call the hot dog fold is often actually referred to in the world of folding as the valley fold. So what I want you guys to do is use valley folds to create sidewalls for a bridge or a structure, and that will let you create ramps if you'd like to, or bridges. If you want your ramp to bend, now Quinn is going to make a correction to this because he didn't implement this yet, because he's got this kind of rippling right here that's not exactly desirable. If you're trying to avoid that, check this really cool technique out. Take a pair of scissors, cut the sidewall on the ramp or bridge that you've built, and now you've created a joint that will allow your ramp to bend or your bridge to bend. And that will allow you to get some really kind of articulate, cool things happening here. You could actually make a more gentle bend by making a couple of these notches and making a few of these joints. So now you got more of a curve here. See that? That's pretty nice, right? So that's a really cool technique. It can go both ways with the curve. You just want to make sure you secure this with tape so that it actually stays the way you want it to. And that would be the start of one part of the track. Let's say that you want to not just make these little bridge pieces, but you actually want to make a wall. Well, here's another really cool one you can do. Take your paper, create another valley fold. Now also create a mountain fold, or also referred to as the hamburger fold. Okay, and now I'm going to see a plus sign on my rectangle of paper here. Watch this. Take your scissors, cut halfway into that mountain or hamburger fold, whichever way you want to call it, and you'll see your paper naturally wants to form a corner. Now, if you tape that corner together or glue it together, you will have a very nice corner to put down in your track to really trap your marble into a nice thing. You can actually make an entire maze-like track completely out of these corners, just facing different directions. That's it. If you don't want just this corner, as I've shown you, if you want to make a straight wall to block, another one you can do is to take your paper, fold it in half, either way, depends on whether you want a tall wall or a short wall, and then fold the ends, because it's kind of like right now a greeting card, fold the ends, reverse those folds back to form kind of what looks like a capital T. All right, you guys see that? We take this and we simply glue that down onto the board, and you can see we have now created a wall. Really, really easy, right? So again, I've seen kids make tracks entirely out of these T-structured walls. So combining the T-structured wall in the corner can work really well to make, check this out, we just made kind of like a little sort of U-turn structure here for our maze, and it becomes really entertaining to get these together. I've seen some awesome stuff from our kids so far already, and I'm just really impressed. The big thing I want to point out is that you do want to think about, do you want to make your track, what's the end goal? Is it going to be to loop around as many times as you can? Will you go from a start point to a finish point? Will you go through some sort of series of holes where you're trying to actually avoid dropping through, and that determines how many points you've made? Do you have a loop or a hoop that you're trying to get your marble through as many times as you can in a certain amount of time given? It's really up to you. The big rule about this is the fun. What's fun about it? That's really the big question. That's where artists are involved in creating things like toys. How do you make it fun? How do you make it look good? How do you make people want to play? And then the last thing I want to mention is we are using the design cycle. You have to first have an idea, and we've had that here. We're creating a game and we know we want it to be a marble track. Well, what's different about it is another portion of the idea. Then you will create. The next part is after you've created it, you will test, and we all know that. We're going to drop the marble in and we're going to see if it works. If it does work, now you can continue on and have another idea, create it, and test it. Now where it becomes a cycle is when you have a failure. If the marble drops through where you don't want it to, which it probably will the first time, almost every time, you will then have to put a RE in front of that and make it a redesign. And that means you're going to have to change the wall, change the structure, add something to it, pull it away and remake it, rethink it, and then try it again. And that's where the cycle comes in, because then you will test it again and you'll find out if it works, and if it doesn't, you'll redesign it again. And you'll keep that cycle going, keep that circle just over and over and over going until you have created your final product. And that is the design cycle, and that is something really kind of exciting for us to be working on right here in the art classroom. Aesthetics do count. The way it looks is one of the things that I am actually awarding students part of the grade on. Basically, I call it the appeal of the game. And you look at Quinn's, and even though I know it's just paper and styrofoam, and I know it doesn't look super polished, but you can't expect, you know, something amazing in a prototype like that. But I do think this looks intriguing, fun, and exciting. I want to pick this up and run the marble through this. It has a lot of appeal. Is it fun? So far, yeah, but does it really have an end goal? Not quite, but it's in process. He's in the design cycle. He's gonna get it done. I know Quinn's gonna get an A on this in the end. So I want you guys to do your very best, see what you can create, show it off. I love when parents want to get in on this one too. Make it with your kids if you can. I know time is tight for a lot of parents here, but ask mom and dad, grandma, grandpa, cousin, whoever to do it with you. It's more fun when you do them together and then you trade them and try them out, okay? So have an awesome weekend. Show me what you've made, show me what you've done, jump on the Google Classroom, and I will catch you guys later.